So in the previous video, we saw the experiment of dissolving a solid in a liquid, that is potassium permanganate in water and sugar in water. So both those experiments confirmed to us that matter is made up of a large number of small particles and they're constantly moving. Now let us have a look at another experiment which tells us the same thing. That is mixing of two gases. So in this experiment what we do is, we initially take two glass jars and put a cover between them. In this glass jar we fill in air, and in this glass jar we fill in bromine gas. Now see guys, though this glass jar may appear empty, it's not empty, it has air. Air is colorless and transparent, right? Hence we cannot see it. Now here, this is bromine vapor, this is reddish brown in color. Now please note that bromine gas is also heavier than air. So right now the two of them are not mixing. Why? Because there's a cover over here. Next what we do guys is, we remove this cover. Now the moment you remove this cover, after some time you'll notice both the gas jars basically have turned reddish brown. So now the question is, what has happened over here? How did the bromine gas, which is actually heavier than air, actually come in both the glass jars? Again the same concept guys, both air and bromine is made up of a large number of tiny particles, and these particles are constantly moving. Initially, because this cover is here, it's not going here. The moment we remove this cover, the air particles and the bromine particles will collide with each other, because of which the bromine particles go here, air particles come here. So basically bromine particles are present in both the jars, air particles are present in both the jars. Now the reason you can't see air is it's colorless. It is still here. Bromine is reddish brown, particles are both, hence the entire thing appears reddish brown. So again the same concept, matter is made up of tiny particles which are constantly moving. Again this happens on its own. So this is again an example of diffusion. Is this clear? So that is how diffusion is proving to us that matter is made up of tiny particles which are constantly moving. So I hope the concept is clear. So let's read about it. So see guys, air is a colorless gas or mixture of gases. Bromine is a red-brown liquid. Bromine vapor or bromine gas is a red-brown in color and it is heavier than air. A gas jar containing air is placed upside down on a gas jar containing bromine vapor. We will see that the red-brown vapors of bromine from the lower gas jar eventually spread into the upper gas jar once the cover has been removed. And after some time, the gas jar color containing air also becomes completely red brown in color. See here, air was there, transparent. Now it is also reddish brown. Is this clear? So what has happened over here? The spreading up of bromine vapor into air can be explained as follows. Both air and bromine vapor are made up of tiny moving particles. The moving particles of bromine vapor and air will collide with each other and bounce about in all directions, due to which they get mixed uniformly. So see guys, air particles and bromine particles, they'll continuously collide with each other, mix with each other. So air particles, both the jars, red brown particles, both the jar. Hence both the jars become red brown in color. This is another example of diffusion. So mixing of two substances, right, on its own is known as diffusion. Please note that though bromine vapor is heavier than air, even then it goes up against gravity and mixes with air in the upper jar. Why? Because its particles are moving with high speeds, due to which they have sufficient kinetic energy to overcome the force of gravity and go up into the gas jar containing air. Is this clear? What is kinetic energy? It is energy whenever an object is moving, energy due to motion. So a very important question over here. Bromine gas is heavier than air. It is heavy, so it should be down. Now how is it going up? See, the particles are moving so fast. They have so much energy. They're able to overcome the force of attraction of gravity and go. Just like when I jump, right? I'm able to apply so much force. I can overcome the force of gravity momentarily, of course, but then go up. Same thing over here. So because of their high speeds, they have high kinetic energy, because of which they can overcome the force of gravity. Is this clear? Next, another point to be noted is that air is present in the upper gas jar, also diffuses downwards into bromine vapors in the lower gas jar. But since air is colorless, we cannot notice its presence in the lower gas jar. So a lot of students have this confusion. Sir, where did air go? Air is still there guys. It's just that air is transparent, hence we cannot see it. But both bromine and air, both of them are here. Is this clear? So I hope this experiment is also clear. So quick recap guys. Basically we saw potassium permanganate in water, dissolving sugar in water, and we saw the mixing of air and bromine vapor. These are all examples of diffusion. So diffusion basically proves to us that matter is made up of large number of tiny particles and they're constantly moving. So see, the process of diffusion gives us two conclusions about the nature of matter. Number one, matter is made up of tiny particles and the particles of matter are constantly moving. So in case you get a question, what is the evidence for this theory? Diffusion. You can mention these experiments. That is the answer. Is this clear? So I hope now you're convinced that matter is made up of tiny particles which are constantly moving. Though we cannot see them, but these experiments prove that. So I hope this concept is clear.